Nancy Pelosi's power grab backfires big time as her effort to steal a GOP House seat blows up in her face. In this video, we're going to take a look at the ridiculously hypocritical but failed attempt by Nancy Pelosi to overturn a certified election just to gain more power in the House, how the mainstream media conveniently ignored Pelosi's hypocrisy, once again demonstrating they have no interest in reporting truth, and how the collapse in trust in the mainstream media is precisely why Pelosi's power grab failed and blew up in her face. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. We're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these turbulent and trying times, helping to think better so you can feel better and provide for you a patriot path to freedom. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, for you podcast fans, we've now reached over 2 million podcast downloads. So make sure to click on that link below and sign up for our various podcast platforms. And for you alt tech fans, we've got links to our Rumble and Parler channels down below as well. We'd love for you to subscribe to them too. All right, before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of our video, and that's our good friends over at Noble Gold, gang. Silver and gold. When times are tumultuous and turbulent, you can't beat them. There's frankly never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio, and the amazing staff over at Noble Gold are ready to help you in any way that they can. And if that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is gifting a genuine rare Carson City minted Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k. It's absolutely beautiful. So do not wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve Turley, and let's ride that gold and silver wave together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. This is just so good. You want to talk karma here? Here it is. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's attempt to steal the seat won by GOP House Representative Mariannette Miller-Meeks has completely blown up in her face after a Democrat challenger withdrew her challenge. Now, if you don't know the backstory to all this, it's rather wild, okay? Of course, it all goes back to November 3rd. There was a House race in Iowa in the southeastern 2nd Congressional District between the Republican Mariannette Miller-Meeks and the Democrat Rita Hart. 400,000 votes were cast, and in what has to be, if not the single closest election outcome, the Republican just barely squeaked by with the slimmest of margins. She won, get this, by just 6 votes, okay? But irony of ironies, her Democratic opponent refused to concede. And unfortunately for the Democrats, after reviewing the election through a recount process and all that, the Iowa Board of Electors did indeed certify the Republicans' win. And that's when things got interesting because, of course, we've been told by every single wing of the mainstream media that once an election has been certified by secretaries of state and boards of electors and all that, once that's happened, that's non-negotiable. Anyone who would even dare question the integrity of that process is obviously an insurrectionist, a conspiracy theorist seeking to overturn the will of the people. Unless, of course, you're Nancy Pelosi. Then you have every right to question the integrity of the process because, of course, you're the leader of the sanctimonious left. You're a warrior for wokeness, and therefore you've been granted immunity from the mainstream Marxist media to basically pursue any attempt you want at overturning a certified election. And that is exactly what Nancy Pelosi attempted to do. When the Democrat Hart lost, instead of going to the Iowa courts, she went directly to Pelosi in the House Committee on Administration in a deliberate attempt, I kid you not, in a deliberate attempt at getting Congress to overturn the Board of Electors certification. And Pelosi agreed. In fact, Pelosi, in an astonishing act of hubris, actually claimed she had the authority to expel the Iowa Republican from Congress, saying that it was her right as Speaker of the House to not only seat Miller-Meeks in the House, in fact, she could throw her out and anyone else out, remove anyone else from the House that she wanted to. I kid you not, this is not the Babylon Bee. This is, as they say, really real. So after calling the Republicans seditious for objecting to electors for Biden from 2 states, which, by the way, Democrats have been doing with every single Republican presidential victory over the last few decades, after calling the GOP seditious For daring to challenge certified results, Pelosi actually put into place measures that would involve a House Administration Committee to review the election results and overturn the election that had been certified by the Iowa Board of Electors. Now, astonishingly, the abject hypocrisy of Pelosi went completely and totally unnoticed and, of course, unreported by the mainstream Marxist media. There was not so much as a whit or whiff of denunciation of Pelosi trying to do exactly what she and the mainstream media had unanimously condemned the Republicans for doing. Nada. Nothing. But fortunately, her repulsive hypocrisy wasn't lost on those outside of the leftist media echo chamber. Newt Gingrich observed that every single Democrat on the House Committee on Administration voted to bring the Democrat candidate's case to Congress, completely bypassing the Iowa electors and the Iowa courts. Here's how Gingrich put it, quote, "This is a classic expression of the Democrats' elitism and double standards. When Republicans challenge election results, they're undermining democracy. When Democrats do it, they're, quote, conducting a thorough and fair review of this election to make sure every vote was counted and counted as cast," as Pelosi put it. If the Democrats dare to overrule Iowan voters and give Hart the seat, they will see a harsh pushback from Republicans and the American people. They will be proving that they don't care about democracy or what the American people want. They only care about strengthening the Democratic machine. This will hurt the Democrats in the 2022 elections when Americans decide they're done being overruled by their supposed representatives. I mean, well put. Hear, hear. Unfortunately for Pelosi and her blatantly hypocritical power grab, the Democrat candidate, Rita Hart, has now officially withdrawn her campaign from consideration. She just released the announcement, quote, "I have made the decision to withdraw my contest before the House Committee on Administration. Despite our best efforts to have every vote counted, the reality is that the toxic campaign of political disinformation to attack this constitutional review of the closest congressional contest in 100 years has effectively silenced the voices of Iowans." That, my friend, is what we call bullshit. That announcement was literally the epitome of absolute and total bullshit. The real reason that this Democrat had to withdraw was that both Democrats and Republicans were coming out and saying, this is preposterous. This is patently hypocritical, and they wanted nothing to do with this. Even Mike Pence came out and denounced this blatantly obvious power grab by Pelosi. In a written statement, Pence said, quote, "After losing 13 seats in the 2020 election, House Democrats have a numbers problem and are trying to grab a House seat in Iowa to fix it. Despite a bipartisan group of election officials in Iowa voting 5-0 to certify Marionette Miller-Meeks after a recount, now Nancy Pelosi has changed her tune, not trusting states to certify their own elections. Don't let House Democrats take this seat to advance their radical left agenda. Let's stand up for democracy and stand with Congresswoman Miller-Meeks." And fascinatingly, more and more Democrats began to distance themselves away from Pelosi and Hart. And that's when Hart withdrew her candidacy. And this whole thing just blew up in Nancy Pelosi's face. Now, there's a couple of lessons that we could take away from all of this. Lessons that I think will serve us well, very well, as we approach the midterms in 2022. But before that, I have a free gift for all of you. Make sure to click on that link below and download your own Alt Tech Directory Guide, which we're calling the New Conservative Survival Guide to Big Tech Censorship. It is yours absolutely free as an ebook download. Now, this is a guide that's going to give you all the different alternative social media sites that are popping up all over the place, have all your favorite independent content creators, but without any of the censorship that we've been exposed to by big tech. It's also going to give you insights into what scholars are calling, this is my favorite, an emerging post-Google age. It's absolutely free as an ebook download, and it's yours by simply clicking on the link below. So do not let big tech censors get in the way of your favorite content creators. Click on the link below and enjoy your survival guide to big tech censorship today. All right, so this whole fiasco that's blown up in Nancy Pelosi's face provides for us a couple of lessons that will be valuable going into the 2022 midterms. First and foremost, We saw just how far the mainstream media is willing to go to lie by omission, right? Infusing a report on the rank hypocrisy of the Democratic leadership made so obvious by Pelosi's words and actions. If you haven't given up on the mainstream media as of yet, this whole scenario should be the straw that breaks the camel's back for you. What we have to understand is that the mainstream media does not report reality. They report what's commonly referred to as virtual reality, where they construct and fabricate narratives that are then presented as objective and disinterested reality. That, at least up until now, has been, shall we say, the mystique of the mainstream media. They maintain the public's trust by presenting themselves as objective mediators of reliable information, right? These days, those days are long gone. That ship has sailed. It was the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard who created a whole theory in understanding the media and indeed much of the modern globalist world as a massive, what he called simulacrum, right? Where the media's fabrication of reality actually replaces reality. It's simulated reality. The mediation society becomes increasingly artificial and manipulated, completely distanced from reality. So you could throw away so much of what the media tells you precisely because it's simulacrum. It's virtual reality concocted and fabricated by the leftist life world of the reporter. The wonderful news is that more and more people are recognizing this, and that's our second lesson. The simulacrum isn't working anymore. We reported on Andrew Sullivan last week, the liberal blogger and contributor. Actually, a couple of weeks back, we talked about him. Andrew Sullivan, again, who's liberal, absolutely blasted the mainstream media, particularly the Washington Post, for their coverage of the Atlanta shootings a few weeks back, right, which involved a white shooter who shot mainly Asian victims at a number of massage parlors. Now, if you recall, the shooter actually told us why he did it. It was his uncontrollable sex addiction that he blamed on these massage parlors. But our mainstream media ignored that, and instead, their so-called reporting focused on a near obsession with the shooter's whiteness and the victims being Asian. And so they ended up pushing this ridiculous anti-Asian hate crime narrative. And Sullivan, who again is a leftist, he's a liberal, Sullivan pointed out that this racial absurdity demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt that the mainstream media doesn't so much push news anymore as they push a far left narrative. The media is guilty of pushing narrative, not news. They report virtual reality, not actual reality. And as we saw with so many Democrat representatives distancing themselves from Pelosi, we really are seeing nothing less than the collapse of the mainstream media's ability to pass this virtual reality off. So the two lessons we need to bear in mind as we approach the midterms is that first, the mainstream media is going to continue to incessantly spin their webs of virtual and fabricated reality. But second, less and less people, even on the left, are buying it. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. You also click on the link below and check out some of our awesome merch like Coca-Cola. And you definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how the Greta Thunberg bronze statue at a British university is sparking a massive backlash as more and more people are rejecting the radical left climate alarmists. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.